Right then. Okay, so as always, come and have a stand on your mat when you're ready, and we'll get going. Okay, so taking your breaks as you need to. Oh, you can't see my head. There you go. Get the camera angle correct. There we go. Okay, feet hip distance apart. Right then, always good just to try and bring that focus back to our center. Just our breath to begin with. We'll just add a shoulder shrug as we breathe in, so float the shoulders up. And breathe out, slowly coming down. Good. Just got a couple more people joining, so just enjoy that pause and a few deep breaths. Just slow and conscious movement, starting to bring your focus to your lower tummy, maybe even adding a little drawing of your lower tummy towards your spine, or working through the pelvic floor, but mainly focusing on that nice deep breath, the one that travels all the way down to the base of the lungs, and the shoulders move with us. So you've got two more. Last one, enjoy it. Really slide those shoulders down and big breath out. Okay, bring your attention back to your lower tummy, drawing your tummy towards your spine gently as you float the arms up just to shoulder height and back down again. Really focusing on the collarbones, so making the collarbones nice and long, and think about those shoulder blades as they slide down your back as your hands float up. Feeling a little sense of tension between the shoulder blades, almost as if they are anchoring your shoulders down in towards your back pockets. Okay, tummy is still active. Got three more. It's amazing, isn't it? As you're conscious with your movement and you think about everything that's going on, how hard these movements become. You can feel all those muscles working wonderfully well for you. Two more. Okay, we're going to hold the next one. We're going to bring the hands across the body and just cross at shoulder height, focusing still on that shoulder position. So making sure the shoulders don't creep up into the ears. Try and keep your belly button pointing forwards. Breathe in, and as you breathe out, rotate from the breastbone up to look to the side, getting that spine twisted. Come back to the center and over to the second side. Now, every time you come back to the center, just do a quick shoulder check. So as we twist around, what sometimes happens is the shoulders start to creep up, but we want to keep those shoulders down and away from the ears, nice long necks, and we really want to try and isolate that movement just to the rib cage. So just have a think about your pelvis. Imagine that your pelvis is just being held still and you're twisting above it. Two beams of light shining out the front of your hips. Keep those beams of light forwards as you rotate above. Now your arms are going to start to feel a little bit tired now, holding them in that same position, but try not to lose that lovely shoulder position, so keep the neck nice and long. Looking good. Do a few more, just see if we can lengthen and loosen in the mid back. It's a nice one really, especially if you've been fairly still today, stuck behind a screen. Okay, come back to the center, holding the arms here. Give them a little shake if you need to. Bring them back. Okay, set that shoulder position. We're going to take it into our squat. Push back to stand. So sitting into your heels, gently pressing into the outer borders of your feet to keep those knees tracked over your second toes. And we press the floor away from us as we do that, tightening through the pelvic floor. So it's really active movement as we come down and as we go up. Equal weight through both feet and checking on your toes on your next one. Make sure you can wiggle your toes. If you can't wiggle your toes, you're coming too far forwards. So just sitting back ever so slightly. Now as we sit down, make sure that bottom doesn't tuck out. Keep your tail tucked underneath. Keep going. We've got 6 more. Let's get that heart rate up. Get that blood flowing around. 5 more. Lovely, well done. 4 more. Well done. Shoulders forwards, hips back. 3, 2, and we hold here. So take it to a position where you're happy to hold, okay? tummy drawn towards the spine, bring the arms down by the side. We're going to take it into a circle with the arms. So we sweep the arms up, bring them round and down with that focus still around the shoulder blades. So making sure that you've got that lovely strong foundation around your shoulder blades so that your arms aren't creeping up towards your ears. Keep that tummy drawn in towards the spine. Stay down if you can, but standing up if you need a rest. Join back in again. Okay, now you can stay here, or if you want to work a little bit more into the calves as we come up with the hands, we lift the heels off the mat and then we lower down. Don't know if you can see that. So raising up onto tiptoes with the arms and lowering down. 6 more. Stand up, shake out if you need to, and join back in. You're all looking really good. I'm now regretting putting a fleece on. It was very cold earlier. 4 more. 3 more. Thighs should be very warm now. If they're not, go a bit deeper. 2 more. Whew. 1 more. Let's hold this one at the top, arms at the top, maybe with the heels lifted, tummy towards the spine. 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. Lovely. Come down and come back to stand. Very nice. Okay, little shake through if you need to. Okay, bit of a challenge for the balance now. We're going to take it into our tandem stance. So we have one foot in front of the other, heel to toe in line. Doesn't matter which foot because we're going to do both. Okay, so your weight should be kind of equally distributed between your feet, so don't feel like you're sitting back or sitting forwards, but just checking on that pelvic position. Make sure your hips haven't hitched across to one side. Stand nice and tall, maybe keeping your hands on your hips with your arms just gently placed out to your side for balance. If you want to, tummy can be active. Breathing here. Okay, for those of you that want a little bit more of a challenge, close your eyes and really focus in on your stillness. Feel those small movements adjusting around your ankles and your knees. Just a chance to slow everything down. We picked it up with the squats. Now we bring it back down again. Okay, open the eyes if they're closed. We're going to take it into a head turn. So just glancing from side to side. Challenges us a little bit more because we lose that fixed point of gaze. So the rest of our balance systems have to work a little bit harder as the eyes are less so in the equation. If you want to add a bit more to this, raise up onto tiptoes, but stay in that tandem stance and just keep going with those head turns. If you're losing your balance, don't worry. You can stagger your feet a little bit wider rather than that narrow heel toe. Just create a little bit of a gap between your feet. But you're all looking pretty good. So this is a nice one if you're ever in class and you find the single leg stance stuff too hard. Come into this tandem stance. It's just about narrowing that base of support. Okay, a couple more and then we'll swap. See how we go on that second side. Okay, coming forwards and lowering down if you are in heel lift. Okay, swap over for me. Heel toe on the second side. Find that equal weight distribution. Hands on your hips, just checking that your pelvis hasn't hitched across to one side. Stand nice and tall, floating the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. Tummy can be active. Find your center. And be still. Okay, eyes closed if you wish. Just breathe, nothing else, just breathe. Good stuff, guys. Okay, opening the eyes and coming back to the head turns. So just familiarise yourself with the head turns before you add the heel lifts. That can come all in good time. You might even feel kind of the hips working as well, just to stabilise around the pelvis. Okay, going into that heel lift for those of you that want to. Obviously that brings a little bit more focus into those calves. So not much movement, but lots of muscle activity. All about stability and control. Nearly there. We're all still standing, is a good sign. Okay, final glance to the side. And then lower the heels down if they're lifted. Step your feet back, take them into a wide stance for me. Turn the toes to the corners of the room. Okay, so we're going to take it into our pelvic tilt from here. Nice way to open up the lower back. And in this wide stance, you should feel it a little bit more around the pelvis and the hips. So big bucket of water, and we're just tipping the water forwards and backwards. I know you know what you're doing with your pelvic tilts here. So with the wide stance and the heels turned out, it does make it a bit more difficult to tuck your tailbone underneath, flattening your back. So just draw your tummy into your spine as you do that. Give you a little bit more pull from the abdominal wall, and then hold the next one. So flat back as best as you can. You're stood against a wall and you're sliding your back down the wall. Send those knees in the direction of those toes. Yeah, so try and really push the hips open. Press into the outer borders of the feet. And like we did earlier with our squats, we're going to push the floor away from us as we come up to stand, and we're going to tighten into the pelvic floor at the same time. Toes and knees shouldn't be going over your toes. So if they are, just make your stance a little bit wider. And then you can afford to go deeper, because we like going deep with these, don't we? We like that burn. Okay, nice and tall through the spine. So really focus on that tailbone. We tucked it under to tip the water at the back of the bucket. And we want that tailbone to drop down towards the floor rather than point back towards the ceiling, the wall behind us. No bums out on this one. Nice flat backs. Looking good. So hopefully your hips are opening up a little bit with this one. If you've got stiff hips, it's a tricky one, but it's a good one. So we're going to go for 3 more. 2 more, and we hold on the next one. Not too deep. I want you to be fairly comfortable here, because this is more about moving through the spine. So we're going to take it into our mermaid stretch. So reach up and over with one arm. Pause when you get there. Feel that lovely length through the side of the body. And then we come back to the center and we go to the second. You can almost like rest that bottom arm on your leg, just to support you into that stretch. Try and keep your body as flat as you can, and keep that lovely gap between the top arm and the ear. So we're not closing the arm down. We're using those muscles around the shoulder blades to set that beautiful posture that we started off with. Very nice. Good stuff. Now you are holding that squat, so your legs shouldn't feel too happy, but they shouldn't be screaming at you just yet. Very nice. Good work, everyone. Okay, go 1 more on each side for me. Okay, and then we're going to come back to the center. We're going to come back to that spine twist that we came to earlier. So cross the arms over the shoulders, stand up if you need to, then join back in, and we take it to twist from side to side. So you know those magic boxes, the magician's boxes, where they saw people in half and one bit moves and one bit doesn't. So this is you in a magician's box. So your kind of waist down stays still. Your waist up is twisting. Now we feel it, don't we? We feel it in those thighs. Okay, for those of you that want a little bit more, you're going to add movement at your feet. So if you're twisting to the left, you're going to pick your right heel off the mat, vice versa. So if you're twisting to the right, you pick your left heel off the mat. But that movement in your pelvic region, nothing changes. So you're in 3 boxes now. So the top box and the bottom box are moving, but the middle box stays where it is. Okay, feel that heart rate picking up again, standing up and shaking out if you need to. Those legs should be telling you that they're working now. See if you can push them a little bit more. Join back in, watch those shoulders aren't creeping up towards your ears. That's it. Try and keep your nose, your breastbone and your belly button stacked over one another. So we're not leaning forwards as we twist. We're staying in the center. We do 2 more on each side. Get us nice and warm before we come down. How are we doing for time? Halfway. 1 more on each side. This should feel tricky now. Okay, come back to the center. And slowly come to stand. Very nice. So I think that's Helen losing a jumper. Good stuff. That's what we want. Okay, feet hip distance apart. We're just going to do one roll down, just so that we've got time for when we come down onto the mat. So stand up nice and tall to begin with. Just big breath in, slow things down. And then slowly start to roll down through your spine as you breathe out. Take your time because we're only doing one. So see if you can get every bone in your spine to roll over the one below it. Softening the knees if it helps. And we'll just hang at the bottom, just to allow everything just to lengthen out. And then bending your knees, coming down onto your mat. We're going to start in our box position, so hands and knees. Give you a second just to get down, and if you need to make any adjustments to your mats or cameras, you can do so. Good work, everyone. So warm-up is done. We're now down into our mat sequence. So try and have yourself in your box position. You can bring your hands a bit further forwards if you want to take the weight out the wrists, or have them directly beneath the shoulders, knees beneath the hips, and have a little gap between your knees to make sure that they are hip distance apart. Now, once you're happy with what you're doing, try and make sure that the head stays level throughout. So don't let the head drop down. We're going to start with a bit of a swish of the tail. So just working on that spinal mobility. So let your hips roll across the width of your mat, shortening your pelvis on one side and lengthening it on the other. Whilst you're doing that, press the heels of your hands into the mat and feel your shoulder blades wrap around your rib cage. So we're strengthening the shoulders at this point and the wrists as we weight bear through, and we're keeping the back of the head lifted so as to bring that focus into the back of the neck, nice and strong, helping with the upper back, the neck, and the postural muscles associated to those two areas. Enjoy that swish of your tail. You are in the comfort of your own home with nobody else in the hall watching you. So really let that movement flow. Lovely. Come back to the center. We're going to take it into our needle thread because we're going to visit that again in a minute. Okay, so take one hand through, pass it to the opposite side, bending at the arm to lower yourself down onto the mat. See if you can get the back of your shoulder down or thereabouts. Back to the center and place the hand down. We go across to the other side. So just threading through to begin with. Breathe out when you get to the end. Back in. Okay, let me check you're all doing that well, although I know you're good with your needle threads. Such a trademark Pilates move. Beautiful. Okay, and do a few more because I know they're good for the soul, good for the spine. Okay, take it back into your box position. That's the nice stuff done. Okay, bringing that focus back to shoulders and abs now. So 2 options, toes tucked underneath. We set that spine, draw the tummy in towards the spine, and we hover, lift the knees off the mat and lower down. So remembering that this is our foundation to any of our plank work, yeah? A nice strong prep with the knees lifted is going to give us that strength to build and build and build. So it may be you are here and you're lifting, holding and lowering, okay, focusing on keeping that back flat. So not too high with the hips, it is a tiny lift, almost as if you just kind of pick the table off the floor to get the rug off underneath it. The rug's got trapped under the table leg. You just need to get the rug out. Okay, keep the back of the head lifted, press the hands into the mat and keep that tummy gently drawn in. It's a really nice way of getting that tummy working because you're lifting away from the floor. So you've got a little bit more feedback. Beautiful. Okay, just float the back of your head up slightly, Sue. Yes, you're there now. Fabulous. Oh, there are about 3 people called Sue then. It's brilliant when a cue works for somebody else. Okay, so you can stay here. You can work a bit more just to add your holds in a bit longer. If you want to come with me, we're going to take it into a long plank, but rather than bringing it through the arms, we're going to take it out through the legs. So what that looks like is we float the knees up, we stretch one leg out behind, then the second leg comes out, then we walk one leg in, and then the second leg comes in, and we lower. Now, the key with this is maintaining that control at your pelvis. So tray of drinks resting on your back. Don't spill your tray of drinks, okay? There's a bit of a halfway house with this one. So if that's too tricky, you're going to step one leg out, you're going to bring it back in, you're going to step the other leg out, and you're going to bring it back in. Yeah, so you're either just doing up and down, you're doing up, out, in, or you're doing up, out, in. All of those are brilliant options for you, okay? So don't feel like you have to go to the top level. It's better to do a lower level with good control than it is to kind of push into something that doesn't work for you, okay? And remember, those hips aren't too high. So if you're finding that you're having to sort of lift your bum up to get your legs out, then I'd stick with one of the lower options, okay? Take your rest, shake your wrists, and join back in again. So I'll just go through those 3 options again, although I think you've all kind of set on one. So leg pull prep, lift and lower, okay? Leg pull prep with one leg extending, back in, the other leg back in. You kind of feel it in the shoulders a little bit more as you lose the control from the legs, okay? And then third level, out, in. And if you've got enough capacity in your brain, maybe alternate which leg starts. But if that's just too much, don't worry. Great, Helen Wadden. That's it, Elaine. Nice option, yeah. Good. Well done, Emma. Well done, Sue. Lovely, Isabel. Can't see all of you. Havana, that looks good. Bit lower with your hips, Havana, just a touch. Good, well done. Yeah, stretching out when you need to. You've got about 3 more, if you can. I think I'll do 3 more with you. If you want to, you just can carry on walking out, in. 2 more. Okay, and then we're going to hold this last one. So either hold with the knees lifted or hold with the legs out straight. Okay, so leg pull prep or full leg pull, full plank, hold. 10, 9, come back in if you need to. 8, 7, be strong through the core. 6, 5, 4, watch those heads don't hang down. 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. Down, sit back into your shell stretch for a moment. Good stuff. So lovely options there. I think we all chose an option that worked for us, and there was some great techniques, so that's really nice. Okay, we're going to take it into a cobra stretch from here. So just coming onto your fronts, feet slightly wider than your hips. Okay, you can either be in full cobra or baby cobra with the forearms. I don't mind. Choose your option. Okay, nice long neck, so make sure we're not losing our shoulders. Sorry, losing our necks into our shoulders. Look forwards or look up. Okay, you're here or you're here. Breathe. If you find that that's quite a challenge on your back, then feel free to kind of come down and lift up again. But if you're happy to hold, be my guest. It should feel like quite a deep stretch through the whole of the front of the abdomen. Okay, and lower yourself down and come to sit on your side. Okay, you may have noticed the past few weeks we've been working on building up our tolerance to these side planks in many different ways. Okay, so we're back again, seeing how we go with this evening's challenge, pardon me. So option 1, yeah, is just propping yourself on your forearm, not on your, forearm, that's your hand. Put yourself on your hand and push the floor away from you. So notice the difference between sort of hanging into your shoulder and pressing the floor. It's all about that shoulder girdle, that shoulder blade that we've been talking about throughout the session this evening. Nice big gap. Now I can feel that is working quite hard for me, and that may be where I want to stay. Okay, so no worries if you're here and you're pressing into the floor really hard, you're lifting your body, that's great. Option 1. Option 2, we add the hips. Okay, so lifting the hips off the mat, we press the bottom forwards. Okay, and option 3 is the full side plank, so straight legs, either with the feet sort of staggered, or I think I mentioned last time, you can kind of hook your feet into one another. That's quite nice as well. Okay, so option 1, 2 or 3, choose your option, lift, pause at the top, and then come back down. Okay, and then when you're ready, go again. Unless you want to do a long hold, I wouldn't expect you to be able to hold these quite as long as you can your normal planks. As you've noticed, we've got one less point of contact with our mats, so it does really load up those shoulders. If anyone's particularly struggling with their wrists, feel free to take it onto your forearms. But remember, just sitting and pressing into the floor is your foundation for all of this. So even if your hips aren't coming up, doesn't matter. You can be really strong and build up that tolerance by just pressing, lifting and lowering. Well done, everyone. Got some lovely options going on. Okay, last chance, couple more. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. Lovely. Come down, give that shoulder a little shake. Okay, and then we're just going to take it all the way down onto the side. So stay on that same side. Just going to do a little bit of side hip before we hit the second side plank. So you can lie flat, or you can support your head. Just make sure you're in a nice straight line. Options with this is the bottom leg bent or the bottom leg straight. Obviously, with it being straight, you're a little bit less steady. So choose your option. And then I want this top line in your body to be nice and long. So push your hip away from you. Little lift comes in on the underside of the waist. And just make sure your ribs aren't flaring forwards. Okay, super simple. Leg lifts. Slow and controlled. Make sure that your foot and your hip are in line. So have a little look down at that leg and make sure you can't see too much of the front of your leg. If you can see kind of all of your thigh, just slide the leg back. Okay, super slow and maintaining that length. So pop your hand over the top of your pelvis and really push it down, push it away towards your feet. So as your leg lifts, if you notice that it wants to collapse into your rib cage, you've got to work hard to stretch that out. If it is collapsing in, what's happening is you are using your muscles in the side of your trunk rather than the muscles in the side of your leg. My screen has gone really strange, so hopefully you can still see me okay. I just went into super speed mode there. Okay, now I can feel this already, so hopefully you've got that lovely warm glow in the outside of your hip. Let me come and see how you're doing. Yeah, beautiful control. Okay, so you can stick with these, or we can add what we call our side kick, which is going to kind of target our glutes in a bit more of an increased range of movement. So you can carry on with the lift and lowers, or we float the leg up to hip height. Then we imagine there's a coffee table in front of us and we slide the leg along the length of the coffee table. Don't let the foot drop. We get as far as we can forwards. We tap the foot down in front. We lift back up. Oh, and we slide that back along that coffee table and we lower down. Okay, so you will feel almost like the little different fibers of your glutes firing off. Ping, 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 ping. Come down, lift, and go back. Good. Now, if that's not for you, Just keep going with the lifts and lowers. Or make your coffee table a bit smaller, sorry, so we could come here, tap down, lift up. If the tap down at the front is what's killing you, which it is me, you don't have to add it in, you can just slide the leg, okay. I am expecting to see some really gnarly faces. So those hips now have just cranked up to a level 10, yeah? Even if you're just doing the lifts and lowers, because we've been going for a while now. So you've got 6 more. Let me come and see. Give me your best facials. Good. Well done. 5 more. Nearly there, guys. Hope we don't run out of time. Not been very good with my timekeeping this year. 4 more. If you're just doing the lifts and lowers, you're probably going to fit a few more in. That's fine. 3 more. Don't forget to breathe. 2 more. Oh, goodness me. You guys come in on Thursday. You're in for a treat, aren't you? Okay, then come back. Lower that leg down. Slowly if you can. Fold that leg in. Give it a big pat. Okay, well done. All round with those. With loads of lifts and lowers added in that second side kick as well. Let's flip over. Let's do the hips straight away, and then we'll finish on the side plank. Okay, don't know what's worse, to be honest. Okay, so second side. Set yourself up, bottom leg bent or straight, depending on where you are working this evening. Lengthening that top hip. When you're ready, lift and lower. And remember, it's all about control with our Pilates. So the goal really is to maintain that lumbar pelvic stability. So where our lumbar spine and pelvis sit. We could do this exercise without control. It feels really different, and it doesn't hit and isolate those muscles nearly as effectively. So it's really worthwhile just kind of focusing on the movement around your pelvis and trying to isolate that movement. So hands on the hips is a good one, or maybe placing your hand on your waist, on the underside of your waist, and making sure that there's no movement there. So we talk about that sponge in the small of our back. Imagine it's sat underneath your waist now, so you don't want to squash it. Okay, you can stay here, or you can polish your coffee table. So slide your leg forwards, take it to where you can, tap it down, lift it up. Second side, always hurts. Okay, well done. Oh, these exercises always look loads easier on paper. Something about that leg stretch out in front, taking that hip right into the end range across your body, really targets those lateral glutes. Oh, get a little bit of compression on the outer hip as well, which makes it really challenging. Okay, so remember, if you don't like the leg slide, make it a bit smaller, or don't add in the lift and the lower at the front. Yeah, you can just be here polishing your coffee table. Maybe it's like a nest of tables and you pick the smallest table. Or just work on your lifts and lowers. Whatever you're doing, you've got 6 more. And you've got 4 more minutes until we finish. You can do it. Watch those feet aren't hanging limply off the end of your leg. Try and just lift the outer border of your foot slightly. Okay, I'm seeing some lovely hip rubbing going on. Think about 3 more. 2 more. I'll join you for 1 more. Whoa, you've done more than me. Well done. Okay, come down and rest. Rest for a very short time before we finish with our second side of side planks. Okay, so remember, we're going to push up, sitting on the side of the hip to begin with. Option 1, have the hand in line with the body, press the floor away from you, slide the shoulders down into the back pocket, lift here. Okay, this is where we want that gap. Okay, so if your body's sinking into the mat, we're not using the underside of the body, not using those lovely oblique muscles. Option 1. Option 2, the hips lift. Try and just gently press your pelvis forwards without flaring at the rib cage. So squeezing your bottom slightly. Option 3, full side plank if you wish, okay, and try and be as flat as you can with that. So don't twist forwards or backwards, lift and hold as long as you can, and then lower. Okay, so 3 options. Last little bit of energy. We've not got much time. Beautiful. It's really nice to see lots of different options here. It's good to really sort of hone in on what you can manage. So remembering just to keep your head as part of the movement as well. So try not to let your head hang forwards or to the side. You want that nose, breastbone, belly button kind of following a diagonal line down to the side of you. Okay, we're running out of time, so I'm going to do a countdown. You can do lifts and lowers, or you can do lifts and holds. We are here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly come down. Let's just take it into a little bit of a knee hug. So lying on your backs and draw your knees into your chest. Good work. I feel like we're doing lots of challenges in 2023. But you know, we're only get better if we challenge ourselves. So loads of sort of wrists and shoulders there with those planks. So check out what you need to. Really, really good. And then when you're ready, come and say good evening.